Hey Dylan, how you doing?
Hey Clyde.
Please proceed with caution.
I know, I'm complicated. But you're the one with the computer in your head. When I first met him, he was a shaman. He was a healer. He used his witchcraft to help people.
Witchcraft.
He's developing warfare technologies.
You ready to believe everything she tells you? Those cyborgs are all about the money.
Clyde? I count 15 farm hands, all chipped and trackable.
Can you hear me now? Good. Can you hear me now?
How do you build America's largest wireless network?
Can you hear me now? Good.
By never being satisfied.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Until no matter where you go,
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
your call goes through.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
People knowing that this is the mark of the beast, because it will be proclaimed as the mark of the beast, so that those who are worshiping Satan, who continue steadfast in their sinful ways, will reject God, will deny Jesus Christ, and willingly and knowingly, knowing that it's the mark of the beast, pledge openly their allegiance and their worship to the beast. They will deny Jesus before men. He in turn, he says, I will also deny him before my Father in heaven. That is the separation. That is the condemnation of the soul to perdition. That is where the person's name who takes the mark of the beast, whose DNA has now been changed, their name is no longer found written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Implantable quantum dot microneedle vaccination delivery system. International application published under the Patent Cooperation Treaty. World Intellectual Property Organization International Bureau. International publication date was 24 January of 2019. That's a year prior to COVID-19 being made known to the public. In March of this year, Kathleen and I presented to the world the microneedle array vaccine patch. Here's what they want you to do. Take this Band-Aid type microneedle array patch and apply it to your skin, just like a Band-Aid. They're formed of a biodegradable polymer that dissolves upon insertion into the skin or tissue so that the microneedles break off from the substrate, forming the patch, remaining, the needles, remaining in the skin and tissue at the site of insertion. Here's what happens. Quantum dots are encapsulated in the non-dissolving polymer and it has a long chemical name here, polymethyl methacrylate. In some embodiments, the near-infrared emitting inorganic dye is semiconducting nanocrystals of copper or silver, which may be encapsulated in the PMMA, the polymethyl methacrylate microparticle for embedding in the microneedles. Here's what remains in your body forever. The tip never dissolves. That tip contains quantum dots. Here's an excerpt from the patent on page 36. The microneedle array structure of any one of the claims 1 through 13 wherein the agents to be delivered are preferentially located in the tip of the microneedle, which remains in the body after the needle dissolves sufficiently for the flexible base to fall off. Here's what it's made of. Now, I'm not going to read through all of these chemicals here, obviously, but it's contained in the PDF. But the microneedle may contain other materials, including metals, ceramics, semiconductors, organics, polymers, and composites. Preferred materials of construction include pharmaceutical-grade stainless steel, gold, titanium, nickel, iron, gold, tin, chromium, copper, alloys of these or other metals, silicon, silicon dioxide, and polymers. Now, if you scan down through some of the other semiconductor metals, you'll also see that it includes diamonds. Something that I've talked about extensively and written about are nanodiamonds. That's what's contained in the microneedle array. Okay? So, you will be modified, you will be changed, you will be a human antenna. This is a biosensor system that they are implanting into the body. Here's the result. Quantum dot vaccinations will use luciferase as the active component. Luciferase is an enzyme that catalyzes the oxidation of a luciferin, causing it to produce a visible glow. Now, in the case of biologicals such as fireflies and things like that, it is visible. In the case of the microneedle array, it produces a near infrared, which is not visible to the naked eye, but a near infrared light that can then, by the use of a filter attached to a smartphone that filters out all other electromagnetic light sources except near infrared. It allows the near infrared through the filter and then into the phone itself through the lens to be interpreted by an application downloaded into the phone. Okay? Same process will happen at the entrances to public venues, grocery stores, places of business, etc., in the form of filters that are scanners. These are tattoo markings of different sizes and spacing and are read with a smartphone. Here's your identification mark. This is from the patent WO 2019-018301, page 22 of the patent. The patches have applications in the defense industry as well as to mark soldiers without using invasive means such as a chip or means such as a dog tag, which may be lost, providing an alternative means of identification or medical record, optionally while at the same time administering vaccines. This is right here in the patent. This is the mark of the beast. They are marking soldiers, okay? Generally, medical information is readily available. Again, this is from the patent. Is readily available by imaging the skin tattoo to access the impregnated information and does not require a patient database. Alternatively, patient information including his or her medical history is stored and downloadable from a database with data collected and interpreted from the tattoo markings on the patient. This is the biosensor by way of 5G connecting to the cloud. In the case of the vaccine, this is where proof of vaccination is transmitted by the mark of the beast system, the quantum dots and the luciferase, now part of the body, delivering the vaccine which changes the host DNA. Verification of that process is transmitted by 5G from the person's body, from this mark of the beast microneedle array to the cloud. Here's who is behind this biometric identification: Bill Gates. Bill Gates wants everyone to have a quantum dot tattoo, the microchip inserted in their bodies. Now, I want to clarify, there's no grain of rice size microchip, as has been pictured for almost 20 years now. That's not what's being inserted in the body. This is a topical, to the skin, a topical insertion of quantum dots. Hydrogels, delivering the vaccine to every cell in the body, penetrating to the nucleus of every cell, and accessing the DNA within the nucleus and altering it. Bill Gates, quoting, "Eventually we will have some digital certificates to show who has recovered or been tested recently, or when we have a vaccine, who has received it." That's Bill Gates.
This microneedle patch is an exciting development. It's a great example of how NIH-funded research and innovation and technology can improve the lives of all of us. The microneedle patch is a dime-sized patch of needles that are so tiny you can barely see them with the naked eye. And within this dime there'll be 100 or so of these tiny needles that are so small that when you place them on the skin, they don't cause any pain, even after they penetrate the skin, and they are biodegradable because they can dissolve in water. Because they are needles, you can use them for an injection of a vaccine or even drugs such as insulin. So here is the beauty of this innovation, and the thing that's really appealing about it. Actually, there's several things, but one of them is that the microneedle patch has embedded in it a vaccine that is dried. It's not in a liquid form, as is typically the case when you get an injection in your arm from the physician or your nurse. But in this dried state, it's within the microneedle, or on the surface of the needle, and once the needles are applied, the vaccine is delivered. Because it's dried, it doesn't require refrigeration. The fact that it doesn't require refrigeration opens up fantastic possibilities for how you can store it and distribute it. It could be placed on the shelf in a drugstore, for example. You could go in and just pick up your vaccine, take it home and apply it yourself. Or imagine that you go to your mailbox and get an envelope, and in that has your vaccine for the year. You go in the house, put it on your arm, just like you would a Band-Aid, press it a little bit, 5 minutes later it's totally dissolved. You peel this off, there's no hazardous material to dispose of because the needles are biodegradable and melt literally in the skin, and you're vaccinated. that's a wonderful advance. It improves the accessibility because you can distribute it easily. It doesn't require a professional because you can do it yourself. So it's a fantastic innovation.
Charter City is stunned by the sudden rollout of Rook Unlimited's most fantastic device ever. The Smart Mark. Throw your other devices away, because the Smart Mark is more than just a phone. It's part of you. Use it as cash. Book your travel. And even shoot video. Distribution points are all over the city. And don't let the lines discourage you. The Rook Unlimited Smart Mark is worth the wait.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
And the best part? It's absolutely free.
Samsung just made a first quantum 5G phone. What's up guys, and Samsung just keep doing what it does best, and that is
Taking souls and digging holes.
the first quantum 5G phone is official, aka the Samsung Galaxy A Quantum. Now you might have heard about quantum computers. They are extremely expensive, and one of the abilities of these computers is to generate unpredictable series of numbers to create the best security, and that is what this phone can also do. So Galaxy A Quantum has something that we have not seen on any smartphone before, and that is a quantum RNG chip built specifically for next level security. With the help of this chip, the phone can generate truly random numbers, which leads to almost unbreakable security keys, making this one of the most secure options on a phone. The way this works is that it calculates number of photons in a certain area, and that number of photons is your random number. It's built in collaboration with SK Telecom, and at the moment it only works with services which utilize quantum tech. That includes mobile payments, biometrics, some carrier services. Soon it will expand to more options in the future. Now the phone itself is a Galaxy A71 5G. It's similar to the A71 but rocking a 5G modem combined with the Exynos 980 chipset. The cost of this phone will be $520, and currently it's gonna be exclusive to South Korea. We might see this in other markets in the future.
U.S. troops died in Iran and Afghanistan. 6,000, as of today, 923. Not roughly 6,900, 923. Because every one of these fallen angels left behind a family.
The reason I'm calling today is to express my disappointment that you have invited this highly sophisticated crackpot and given him a national forum to express his pseudo-religious predictions that have no basis in objective reality.
If you go back 500 years, not much happened in a century. Now a lot happens in 6 months. Technology feeds on itself and it gets faster and faster. It's going to continue. In about 40 years, it's going to be moving so fast, the pace of change is going to be so astonishingly quick that you won't be able to follow it unless you enhance your own intelligence by merging with the intelligent technology we created.
This guy is freaky. He says computers will have consciousness in just 25 years.
As we get to the 2030s, you're not going to be able to tell a clear difference between human and machine intelligence.
The big questions of life is who are we? What are we going to become? What's the future like? And he's got one of the most incredible track records in history for his ability to predict with pretty darn good accuracy.
He's an award-winning scientist and engineer, a millionaire several times over because of his inventions.
Baker's wild.
These inventions may end up causing the worst war that humanity's ever had.
Corporations and governments and societies will be created and destroyed on the back of the technology that this book describes.
The world is flattening. The world that is globalizing.
Inventor Ray Kurzweil thinks that one day humans may be able to live forever.
I want to live as long as I can. I don't want to die. If following Ray's regimen would put that day off, I'm very willing to do that.
I knew there was a reason I was keeping all this stuff, and he kept all this stuff. I do plan to bring back my father.
God is who he is, and our challenge should be to know him not try to create him.
I'm afraid of you.
It's going to scare a lot of people.
The world is changing far too fast. Nothing like this has ever happened to Homo sapiens before.
These ideas are going to ultimately change the world.
We didn't stay on the ground, we didn't stay on the planet, and we didn't stay with the limitations of our biology.
I think Ray is performing the service of a prophet. That's wrong.
He has used the gift that he was given for the betterment of humankind. That's what I know.
It will be the universe waking up.
There's the possibility that in the future you could still talk to the people you love forever. If you upload the human mind into a computer, you could create a copy of yourself as an avatar. Now, your family might still be able to have conversations with you, even though you no longer exist in the material world anymore, but in digital space. In some sense, a part of you has become immortal. So clearly, we are entering a world where we can transcend space and time and even our own mortality. So let's go travel into the future.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
But get a load of this commercial, which I am not going to play the sound for. Now check this out. This is their T-Mobile secret 5G lab right here, okay? I want you to notice the color scheme. Notice how everything is purple, scarlet, right? Red and blue combinations, just like the Morgellons. And now they're ready to cut loose with the 5G. But before they do, they get an incoming call from John the Revelator, because this is all prophesied. This is the mark of the beast and the beast system being put into effect. Then the CEO pops up. He's representing the angel of light right in front of your eyes. That's what it is. And he tells them to light it up.
It's time. Let's light it up.
And they got their little T-Mobile Tau Cross logos on. And they're getting ready to launch ICBMs, because they're going through the same sequence you would go through for a missile launch.
Enter launch code.
Entering launch code. Target sequence complete.
Insert launch key.
T-minus 50.
Number 1 enabled. 2 enabled.
On my mark, rotate launch keys to launch.
Roger, ready to go to launch.
And notice the keys. Boom.
Let's light it up.
And look what they launch. You just can't make this stuff up, you guys. They are releasing the demons into the world through this medium. The chemtrails, the 5G, the airwaves, so on and so forth, and releasing them out into the world. Look at that. It looks like Kansas, don't it? Looks just like Kansas.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
These look like chemtrails, and they're turning the whole landscape into this purple hellhole, putting you into an augmented reality and harvesting your life energy, your light, your very will, because that's what they want, your free will, and most will freely give it up, eventually taking the mark of the beast.
Yeah. And we're just getting started.
Wait until they see what's next.
This is no joke, folks. This is the real deal. You're dealing with the prince of the power of the air, powers and principalities in high places. It's interesting that very Verizon had a Super Bowl experience with the 5G. And I guarantee you they conducted a multitude of experiments that we may never see or know about, but I guarantee it. This is all ultimately the synagogue of Satan. They have communications with the fallen, with the Nephilim. That's who they are. The color out of space is what they are setting up. This is Satan's beast system manifesting before your eyes. And they distribute all the media through the chemtrails, as well as controlling the weather with it. You'll notice that when the Morgellons is shown in people, it's always the red and blue, purple. The nanoscale DNA porphyrin complex for artificial light harvesting. Search these terms, and you will find that these are actual products being used for actual applications in the chemtrails.
If there are technologies being built on this side, like the quantum computers that I'm going to launch into here in a moment, in its relevancy to the temple, Herod's temple, then would it not be reasonable to assume or to expect that these technologies that we are seeing that I call evidence of evil, such as AI, quantum computing, DNA modification, transhumanism, uploading our consciousness into a computer, robotics that are displacing people, I consider that evidence of evil. Would it not be reasonable to then assume and expect that those same technologies pre-exist on the other side? I'm talking about the spiritual side. I contend that they must. We've laid out in many shows the process of communication, whether you're talking geomancy or quantum computers, whether you're talking about spiritual rituals, whatever form or device or methodology of communication, it is communication with the other side. You can't separate the spiritual from the physical. The spiritual is here. But if you're communicating with fallen angels, if you're communicating with evil deities, then the information in that communication process that is derived results in the technologies that I would consider to be evil technologies that are not beneficial to mankind, that are detrimental, that are an existential threat to mankind. But these are the technologies that already exist on the other side that they want built here to enhance that communication, to begin the process of building the infrastructure. You've heard Donald Trump, President Trump, talk about in the United States of the spending of trillions of dollars in rebuilding the infrastructure and building out the infrastructure, including 5G.
I want to thank you all for being here to discuss a critical issue for our country's future. Winning the race to be the world's leading provider of 5G cellular communications networks. It's all about 5G now. We were 4G and everybody was saying we have to get 4G. And then they said, before that, we have to get 3G. And now we have to get 5G, and 5G is a big deal. And that's going to be there for a while. And I guess at some point we'll be talking to you about number 6. What do you think? Do you think that's true, Asia?
So what I offer to you to consider is that the infrastructure for Satan, for Lucifer and his minions, his demons, his creatures, are that infrastructure system is being built here that mirrors what exists on the other side. So I just offer that for consideration. The Holy of Holies in the temple itself is a communication doorway, a portal Now, in the sense of communing with God, it is the Holy of Holies for the communicating with God. But if you look at the blueprint, literally, the blueprint of Herod's temple, and this is similar with Solomon's temple, it is similar even with Greek and Roman temples, pardon me. The temples are arranged in a specific fashion so as to enhance the communication, either in the case of the Greeks and the Romans with, their deities, their little g gods, or in the case of communing with God the Creator, who I, as a Christian, consider to be the only God that there is. If the Holy of Holies is placed within the temple in an exclusion zone that is excluded from the exterior, and I want you to focus on that, the exclusion. It is an area of isolation. The Holy of Holies is behind 6 cubit thick walls. A cubit is 1.7 feet. Okay? We're talking about 6 cubit walls. That's 10 foot thick walls. Why would you isolate the Holy of Holies behind thick walls? Well, sure. If you have invaders, you don't want invaders being able to have easy access to your Holy of Holies. But here's one correlation I'm going to offer you that has to do with quantum physics and has to do with specifically the design of D-Wave's quantum computers. The qubits are isolated in a black cube. That cube is constructed of multiple layers of shielding material. The purpose of the shielding is to block electromagnetic waves, energy waves, microwaves, radio waves, gamma rays, even X-rays, from entering that refrigerated environment that's down at around 15 Kelvin, okay? The reason it's so cold is so that they can achieve superconductivity in the materials that they're using in the chipset. And that reduces decoherence, it reduces errors. It maintains the state of quantum entanglement between qubits, okay? But why the shielding around it also is to maintain that coherence, to eliminate as much as possible any interference from the outside. That is exactly the same scenario that you find with the construction of the 1.7 cubit walls. One qubit is 1.7 feet. It's 6 qubits. It's 10 feet thick, each wall. I offered to you as a design intended to shield the Holy of Holies from the outside, from the influences, as well as for security purposes. But let's get a little bit bigger on our example. If you're at anthonypatch.com and you look at my homepage, you can see what I'm seeing. Herod's Temple and the chipset. In the magazine, we do a series of overlays that Kev produced for me, of photographs that we explained extensively in the webinars and we are presenting in the magazine. If you look at the wire connections that extend out from the chipset, and you look at the direction in which those wires are laid out, and you look at the connecting points, all of those things around the perimeter, which in the case of the temple itself are the outside perimeter walls with the area of the Gentiles inside, looks exactly the same as how D-Wave designed the architecture for their chipset. Within the Holy of Holies of the temple is where the communication takes place. Within, if you want the Holy of Holies in the center of the chipset of D-Wave's quantum chips, are the qubits, the quantum bits, which is where the communication takes place in their description, in Gordy Rose's words, parallel dimensions.
And I heard you covering that with our good friend Clyde Lewis, and it really blew me away. And Microcosm in the chat, he's looking at the images I've been posting, and he's having, or she's having, a very similar experience to what I did when Anthony asked me to do this for the presentation, because I can assure you people out there, aside from having to rotate the chip around so that it was at the same perspective as the temple, this took no work whatsoever to overlay these. I had to do no photoshoppery. You can see the two separate images and then them overlaid in a progressive series, and it is nearly identical. And at the time, Anthony, I was sharing with you how profound I found this, and Microcosm in the chat room, this is huge, discovery of a lifetime kind of stuff. And that's exactly how I felt when I was overlaying them, because I couldn't believe that people hadn't seen this before. However, we've been dealing with people who maybe haven't had the same kind of knowledge on the D-wave and the quantum computing as you do, sir. And that's not to belittle anyone else or to big you up. It's just you made this connection yourself and Kathleen. And this overlay is profound. It truly is. It's nearly identical. In fact, when you line up the wiring and things around the outside of the temple, it was scary how it went together so easily. And Tony, I mean, this is just a thought I was having there when you were talking about all of this, but isn't it kind of interesting how that ancient measurement, the cubit, C-U-B-I-T, is very, very similar to the qubit, the quantum bit that we're dealing with in these communications? I mean, I find that startling. I really do.
It is funny. Yeah, I call it God's sense of humor, even if it is Satan playing with words through guys like Gordy Rose and Eric Latozinski when they designed this chipset, and they came up with, quantum bits. Well, let's shorten it to qubits. They're all operating under God's plan, and God has a great sense of humor.
They are pre-programmed, but they are activated when they're given their working orders. Basically, when the top secret classified military frequency is sent out, is emitted, they get that frequency order. Okay, now it's time to do your task. Once they're done with their task, they report back. Or if it's a continuing task, they report as they go.
This is what's going on. The chemtrails change the climate because that's your climate change. What do you think is going to happen when you dump trillions of tons of nanoparticulates into the atmosphere? You're going to change the climate. You understand? They're playing God, and they're distributing nanotech through the chemtrails.
It's airborne. It's not a single fiber here and there. It is glowing under UV light. So if you take a UV lamp at night, you can see those fibers airborne. And there are billions of them. And these fibers is infecting the human body. And with 95% or 99% of the people, nothing special happens. They just function as a plasmonic antenna to send out a signal, but you don't get sick from it. You don't get ill. No visible symptoms. So we would guess 100% of the population is infected. Some of the people cannot handle it. And at a certain point, they are extracted via the skin. And you can see that they have this ability to collect colors. You have blue Morgellons and you have red Morgellons. And nobody knows where these colors come from because they are of technical origin. It's not a natural substance. So you can see them when the skin is opening. You can see them under the microscope if you make a blood analysis. And you can let them grow artificially in a petri dish. And if you look at them, you see they're a little bit more complex than a simple fungus. They have kind of organs inside. They have little red stem cells of an unknown species that are self-replicating as well.
Which works in sync with the 5G and the 6G and the 7G. We're going to talk about that. The color out of space. This is what we're dealing with.
That little guy in a pentagram These words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones.
There's only one way out of this darkness, and that is Jesus Christ. The blood of the Lamb is the only defense against this. It's interesting how Kansas in the English is 390, which is 13 times 30, correct? And coronavirus in the Jewish is 1303, and in the English it's 930. That's not an accident. It's because it's all intertwined. And this coronavirus is a huge experiment, if you will, that has gone fairly hot. They may take it hot worldwide and just start quarantining and forcing vaccinations on people. This is really a possibility. You need to be prepared for these things. Spiritually, number one, and physically and mentally prepare yourself for the things that are coming. That you're going to see and experience things that are not going to be pleasant. And it'll be very tempting to just dive into your 5G augmented world to escape it. And that's what most people will do. And they'll just submit their will right over to this beast system, ending up with the mark of the beast and total separation from God. You do not want that.
23% of the population has been given the smart mark, number 1.
Time to test our system, number 6. The Flex Fighters are out there somewhere, teaming up with Jonathan Roque. Let's put our new recruits to work, subtly.
We should find the Flex Fighters.
I ought to find the Flex Fighters.
We should find the Flex Fighters. We should find the Flex Fighters.
Growing up in this city, the streets of Old Town, I saw the worst mankind had to offer. Chaos, disorder. I vowed to make it all change. To make it all better. All these years working in secret. Rising up the ranks of the tech men. It was all leading to this day. Order has finally been established in Charter City. No child will have to fear for their safety again. The people owe you the greatest of debts, number 1, for liberating them from the chaos of their lives.
You guys love new tech. You didn't want to get smart marked?
No way. That's clearly some shady biz. Who wants to be...
You call yourself a man of science. World order is our destiny. Submit to a smart mark and join the glorious victory of order over chaos, or you will be eliminated.
Grandpa, Mr. Savick, where is everybody?
They all went to get those foolish new devices.
What? No, they can't. Grandpa, those things are dangerous.
It's a conspiracy. Mind control. I knew it!
3 hours is enough time for us to get to our families. Maybe we can stop them before they get marked.
They seem to be establishing checkpoints of some kind. This is how they keep order.
This is the nightmare I warned you about. People think smart marks are brand new Rook tech that will improve their lives. They don't know they're being tricked.
All smart marks so far. But your chip makes it possible to control everyone in Charter City, whether they're marked or not.
hopefully this will help wake them up. But the reason I do call this playing God a role of a lifetime is that is what is going on all around us all the time. It is an enemy of humanity, not an enemy against Christianity or a race of people, a religion, a nation. It is the enemy, true enemy of humanity. If you look around you from that perspective, you can clearly see that the enemy is trying to modify humanity. They've already started modifying food, modifying the weather, geoengineering it, also using the weather as a weapon. Can cause hurricanes, cause earthquakes in certain places of the world. A lot of people thought that was just science fiction or conspiracy years ago, just like they thought fluoride in our drinking water was a conspiracy. Now that's pretty out in the open. So there's a lot of things that people are waking up to that's hard for them to hear now that you may think is a conspiracy. But later on, as we uncover things, we find out that it's not conspiracy. It's just waking up people in areas of the world, using the alternative media to do that. Because we know that the media and the movies presented to us on the mainstream television are propaganda.
And she also analyzed the single color particles that she found in the air, also the color airborne, that then at a certain point is entering the mycelium after it replicated within the human body. So this is coming to the concept of self-assembling nanobots. Self-assembly means you spray the fiber, it is replicating, you spray the color, and within the human body, the color and the fiber is mounting to a working unit. This is what you call self-assembling nanobot. If you just take the chemical formulas of these colors, and if you look at this, you can find all the things connected to the Morgellons disease. You find like large area self-assembled plasmonic photonic crystals. If you go into this publication, you find these hexagonal forms. And if you look for the function, actually this is a thing that is collecting a radio signal and turning the radio frequency into DNA readable light impulses within the body. So this is the reading unit. If you look down there, you have photonic crystal fibers. If you look what they do, it's normally they talk about carbon nanotubes filled with these colors, with these quantum dot chemistry. And the function is to collect light processed by the DNA and turn it into a readable signal. If you put the two together, this goes beyond the novel. You get a read-write unit. I can take one person, make him angry, read out his anger, digitize it, put it on an antenna, and address 100 people that are not angry. And if they have this biology within their system, they will feel exactly the same experience of anger, like a tape recorder. Record the human experience, the overall human experience of a human, and you can tell by the colors what this includes.
Reading and transmitting light signals, electroluminescent light, which is what your body produces in every function, every thought, every intention, every feeling. They have positive and negative energies, and they are harvesting that from you in order to control you. This is the plan. I'm just telling you. Self-assembly, electroluminescent, double helical, metal polymers, and photonic crystal fibers. Look this stuff up. It's creating the Minority Report, essentially.
Imagine a world without murder. Just 6 years ago, the homicide rate in this country had reached epidemic proportions. It seemed that only a miracle could stop the bloodshed. But instead of one miracle, we were given 3, the precognitives. Within just 1 month under the pre-crime program, the murder rate in the District of Columbia was reduced 90%. Within a year, pre-crime effectively stopped murder in our nation's capital.
In the 6 years we've been conducting our little experiment, there hasn't been a single murder.
And now pre-crime can work for you.
We want to make absolutely certain that every American can bank on the utter infallibility of this system. And to ensure that what keeps us safe will also keep us free.
It's fallen angel tech. And why do you think Musk is launching thousands of these satellites? Cube satellites. 6G project. Known as 6 Genesis. You can't get any more blatant than this. Go read Genesis 6. You'll see exactly who you're dealing with. This 6G enabled wireless smart society ecosystem. Oh yeah, it sounds great, doesn't it? It'll provide precision localization to a fraction of an inch, supplementing the GPS. This is why they're doing all these tests with the GPS, because this is going to supplement it and essentially take it over, allowing imaging techniques that will identify any person or moving object, and I should have, on the face of the earth. You understand? This is what they're doing. 7G. Let's have a gander at this. You think it's a non-thing? Well, you're wrong. What is 7G? Well, this guy explains to us. And he talks about the transmitters that everyone is up in arms about now. The 5G, like they're doing over in China. They're installing a full-on 5G system over there in order to fight the coronavirus.
You serious?
This stuff is all cell augmentive technology. You need to understand. Sound, you are water, and sound and waves are used to manipulate these things. Thank you to Nicholson 1968. And if you actually observe these things, you'll see you and me are virtually made up of water. And when sound and wavelengths are applied to the water, it can be manipulated very specifically to do what the operator wills it to do. Do you understand? This is a real thing. This is happening right before our eyes.
What are they?
They're called SAR. Study, analyze, reprogram. They learn.
They had us. But while she was there, they let us walk. Why?
Identify.
Did you bring these Marines here?
Yes.
My God.
Mr. Theodore Twombly, welcome to the world's first artificially intelligent operating system. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Are you social or antisocial?
I guess I haven't been social in a while.
How would you describe your relationship with your mother? Thank you. Please wait as your operating system is initiated.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi. It's been a long time since I've been with somebody that I felt totally at ease with.
What's it like to be alive in that room right now?
I wish I could put my arms around you. Wish I could touch you.
How would you touch me?
That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Let me handle this. That idea is just the worst.
To the Batmobile! Dang it.
To the invisible jet! Dang it.
Guide me to who you want me to help. Raise up more that will call upon your name. Raise up those that love you and seek you and trust you. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up. Bless your name, Jesus.
Going down.
he'll come in. If you seek him, he'll come in. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.